I've had 4 back surgeries, and that's why I've kind of disappeared because I had 4 back surgeries. And then, just as we were getting ready to make we were getting ready to in 2019, I fell, fractured my collarbone, not a big deal, but then I also fractured my sternum. And that put me in the hospital. You ready for this? For 42 days. 42. Oh, Lord, you don't want to be in the hospital for 42 days. Well, I went 3 hospitals. I fell in Dallas at a Comic-Con. That was the only way I was getting out and doing things. So that was sort of, I was out there in the public, but they haven't had one of those since I did it in December in Germany. Now, today, I had a procedure earlier today on my knee, and it's Syndesk. I don't know if you know what Syndesk is. It's some kind of sheep's fluid. I don't know. They draw it somewhere, but it doesn't kill the sheep. The sheep only complains because they had to put a needle in him. I do the same thing. Anyway, they inject this Syndesk into your knee, and it helps lubricate it. And it makes it where it stops hurting the bone on bone thing. The lubricant gets in there, and it really works. I did it on the other knee for the longest time, and then it just kind of stopped working, and it stopped working on a stage one night, and oof, oh boy, I finished the show. I did about another hour in like mind-boggling pain, but nobody knew it but me, not even the band. I think a couple of them figured out, well, something wrong with him? Anyway, it was my knee, and so I had a knee replacement. I wish I'd have figured out something else to do. I should have got the sheep inside my body. That would have been better. I've had 4 back surgeries, and Tiger Woods had the same surgery. But I started off with a syrinx, I forgot, a little something in there, and it was creating the spinal fluid where it couldn't flow as well. So they took that out, and then we're trying to record an album, and I slipped and I fell in the bathtub, and Paul Cook, the guitar player, had to come and help me up the shower. Oh man, it was horrible. There was a lip on it about like that big, and my back I slipped and fell backwards onto that thing, and that hurt like hell. Believe me, it hurt. My hair, gotta fix my hair. So anyway, okay. Oh man, okay. All right. I was bright red. I was born 9.5 pounds. On the 4th day I was alive, I was in a nursery with the nurses. They had moved me to the window, coming back. It was night. And my father, who was a redneck Dallas policeman, showed up at the hospital, went in there, and did this. My son looks like 9.5 pounds of ground chuck. Now, what I want you nurses to do is I want you to make up a card, and on that card you get in bold letters, MEAT, really bold, and capitalized, all bold capitalized letters, meat, and you drop it in that little slot in front of that crib, and you roll that plastic crib right up to that window, and everybody's going to see my baby. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. What? What do you mean you can't? Yes, you can. What do you mean you can't? Yes, you can. I got handcuffs. You want me to put handcuffs on you? You either do this or I'm going to put handcuffs on you. You understand? So they did. And then 8th grade, now by then, after 4 days, people gradually calling me a little bit more, and the football team calling me a little bit more. 8th grade, I stepped on a coach's foot, and you got to remember that they already had the meat in their brain. So he just screamed, "Get off my foot, you hunk of meatloaf." And that was it. So he called me meatloaf from then. The next day I went in on locker room. It said meatloaf, 2 words. That's what it is now. Today I was doing the knee thing. I don't know if I said it to you. I was going there, and I go off on a tangent. The nurse said to me, okay, I just need your real name. And I said, okay, it's Michael, meet a day. And she goes, okay. And then, because before that, I said something about Susan Sarandon and Rocky Horror and Bra and Pennies. And she goes, that's good. And she looks at me, and I said, I was in that movie. And she goes, what? I said, yeah, I was Eddie. And she went, that's it. She couldn't talk. So I said, meet a day. And she went, okay. And she, when were you born? I said, September the 27th, 1996. And she went, no. I said, okay, 94. And she went, no. And I said, 72? And she went, no. 68? No. 61? No. 54? No. I said, yeah, 54. Maybe. 1957. 57. Good year. My wife's born in 58. I robbed the cradle because I was born in 54, but you knew that already. Yeah. So 58's robbing the cradle. Meatloaf is a real name, and it was. I put it on my passport. 2 words: Meatloaf. Last name Loaf. First name Meat. That's how it goes down like that. So it was on my passport. We went to the UK first. They didn't give me any trouble. Went into Germany. They took the passport. Guy comes in that speaks English. Goes, "Is this fake?" I went, "No." I was there for 4 hours until they figured out. Somebody finally said to him, "I think this guy is a guy that does that song that is being played around town now, Paradise by the Dashboard Light." So, I don't know. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. The TV just came on all by itself. So anyway, so by the time I was a senior in high school, 95% of the people call me Meat. That's how I address me. Meat, how you doing? Meat, what's going on? Meat, how are you? What? Oh, you noticed? Yes, that's a Troy Aikman jersey back there. And that's Carlton Fisk from the Red Sox. Now, I didn't buy any of these things. All these things were given to me. Carlton Fisk, his autograph is staying great. Aikman, he signed it on the number 8, and it's faded. It's almost gone, so that's too bad. And maybe I can get him to sign it again, but I forget it. And over here, this is Jim Kelly, and Jim and I were very good friends, and then he got cancer, and I called his number in his house in Buffalo, and all I got was a message machine. I did it 2 or 3 times, and I left messages, and then I found out where he was. He was down in Virginia, and on a farm after he was out of the hospital, but he was very sick, and they didn't think, I didn't want to bug him, and because all the people that were really close to him, like if you play football with somebody or you know somebody that well, you're really close to them. And so all the Bruce Smith, I tried to get in touch with Bruce Smith. He was all-pro linebacker, defensive lineman, one of the best ever. And I was friends with him, and I called him, and I couldn't get in touch with him. I couldn't get in touch with anybody to get in touch with Jim, so I just left it alone because everybody was talking about it on TV. And so anyway, that was a gift from Jim Kelly, his jersey. I spent the night at his house, and he gave me a helmet. But he gave me the helmet because Marino, we went up for a Jim Kelly golf tournament, and we played a softball game the day before, and Marino goes, "So Jim, did you give him a helmet? You give me the helmet?" And she goes, "No, why?" Well, I did. The last game we played, my backup helmet, I had to wear it in the game because something happened to the helmet that I wore, and I gave Meat the last helmet I ever wore in a game. And Jim goes, "What?" And I do. You can tell it's a game-worn helmet, and he wore it more than once. And Reno gave me that. So then Bradshaw found out about it. So I got this helmet from Bradshaw, and I got a helmet from Jim Kelly, and I got a helmet from Boomer Esiason, and I got a helmet in the mail from Elway. And I never met Elway, but they all found out about it, all these quarterbacks. So I've gotten helmets and jerseys, Montana from Notre Dame. And Aikman sent me that one, and I met him for 20 seconds at some, event, golf tournament event. And the night before there was a dinner. There was no like party or bowling or anything. So it was like everybody was crowded around him. All these, because they pay to get in. The people pay, and that event was normally it's just a dinner with the guys that you're going to play golf with the next day, and they've paid a lot of money, so they're cool. But that event was open to the public. Oh, good Lord, what a nightmare. I've never been to one of those. He was surrounded. I couldn't go anywhere. And he's more famous than me, and Kelly was there. And I got more. I got all these over here. I've got, there's Marino gave me his hand, and I was an honorary member of the Philadelphia Phillies. I was an honorary member of the Chicago White Sox, and I don't know where that jersey is. It's not framed. But my favorite jersey, and you can see, here, let's go back this way. You can see right behind me the jerseys, the Orioles. Up there's the Philadelphia Phillies. I was an honorary member of the Phillies. 55 and Meatloaf was on the back, and they all signed it. Over here is the Dodgers when Mattingly was manager, and Mattingly and I are good friends. Haven't seen him since he left LA and went to Miami, though. And I've spent the night in Mattingly's house a couple of times with my friend Kurt Chaplin, who announces these tapes about baseball. Anyway, so look up Kurt Chaplin. And anyway, there's the Orioles jersey. I sang the national anthem at Camden Yards, right? So we watched the game, and we went out through the tunnel. How do you get out? When you're to do something like that, you don't go in the front gates and go up to this. They bring you in the tunnel, and they give you a car, and you go out of the game, and you bring friends. So I brought somebody with me, and we were going to the car, and they stopped me, and they said, "No, the Orioles want you to come in the dressing room." I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "It's just after the game." They go, No, go on in." So we went in there, and there's a lot of jock straps. Anyway, no. So I went up and talked to a pitcher named Mike Messina for a little while, and then I went, as I was talking to him, I hear, Meatloaf. I turn around, it's Ripken. I go over and talk to him. We're kind of on this conversation. I first talked to him about what it was like playing in 20. He goes, "You know what? I didn't know. It didn't feel like I was playing in 2,100 games until they told me, and then the last 43 felt like an eternity." And I was telling him, I completely understand. I get it. Because you do this tour, and you're on tour for 6 months, and the first part flies by, and all of a sudden you're down to your last 3 weeks, and you're down to your last 15 shows, and, well, actually not 15, it would be 12. No, it would have been about 16, so 4 a week during that period. And he goes, "It felt like an eternity at the end of it." And I said, "I know how that feels." And then we talked about other things, and I talked about my daughters. He talked about his kids, and so he goes, "I really like, man, I get to give you something." And he goes, "I hope I see you again." I said, "So do I." And so he's looking around for something to sign. He takes the jersey off the hook that he wore in the game, and he signs it. And that's it right there, and you can see right there, barely, but if you get close to it, it says Cal Ripken. And he goes, "I'm not going to put Meatloaf on it because it's worth more if I just signed it Cal Ripken. He was thinking about how much it was worth. That's funny. And so I'm friends with other baseball players, Mattingly, Giambi, Jason Giambi. I was friends with Yogi and Whitey. I got a great story. It's Christmas Day. I get a phone call from Yogi Berra. Right? Okay, I get a phone call from Yogi Berra. Are you kidding me? So then I'm talking to Yogi, and he goes, Meat, I just want to know, is it okay if I give your phone number to Whitey Ford? He wants to call you and wish you a Merry Christmas. I go, nah, I don't know. Yogi, I don't know. I don't want all those, fans out there to have my number. I went, of course it's okay to get Whitey Ford. So I hope you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, Whitey Ford called me up and wished me a Merry Christmas. That was amazing. Since we finished the last record, and even during while we were doing the last record, my back was very bad, and I couldn't sing like I normally sing. So I understand. And what I did was I sang lower, and I developed characters around instead of the characters and that's a long story. Okay, I'll explain it to you from the start. What I do is, if I'm doing a film, I find a character, I find body movements, I find, and if you want to watch an actor, I don't know if you have Netflix, but if you can find the series Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch is the best actor in the world right now. Because acting is about what physicalities you have, and the people who come and do the same physical, they walk the same, they talk the same. I don't do that on stage in between songs. Every hand movement's different. I try to get different things. So when you do a character for a film or TV, you try to get him to have characteristics that you don't have, and make him left-handed. You do all kinds of things. Benedict Cumberbatch has done some of the best, not about how he says his lines or anything like that, because there's actors that can really say their lines, but it's about your whole being. And Benedict Cumberbatch, I saw him he played like he was getting over being drugged, right? So, just that. He just dropped his glasses. And it was just, and the way he walked and the way he saw, I've seen people go, oh man, that killed me. Yeah. But he dropped his glasses, he caught them. I mean, just that subtle little things that as a person, you're watching them, you might not catch, but as an actor, oh my God, I'm watching him like a hawk. And he's fantastic. And so when I do characters, and I do characters for the music, so each song, because you got Bat Out of Hell's 10 minutes long, you have to have a motivation. You have to have a reason to make that thread of that song go from minute number 1 all the way down here, and they've got to go together. When you break it up, and people do break it up. And that I'm not going to tell you because I'll ruin music for you. Anyway, you have to maintain a thread through your character, through the song, through everything. And so I try to do that. So I try to get a character for every song, and they use my voice up until the last record. And so I was having trouble really getting up there, and there was one song I really wanted to go up on, and I tried to go up on it, but it hurt so bad. And since that record, let me finish this. So I'm using those characters, and they use my voice. One character was so bad, the vocal was so bad, I went to do it again. I did it again, and I listened back to it, and I said, yeah, that's, and then I went, No, we gotta stay there because there's a story running through here, and that's that character. And was it a good artistic choice? I'm not sure. Some people love the record. I'm not sure. I loved it. I haven't listened to it now in a good 3 years. Because right after it was finished, not too long after that, I had a back surgery, and since then I've had three. I had one prior to that, but this was on my spinal cord. I now have fusions, and I wish I didn't because it's mind-boggling. See, I do stand-up comedy from time to time. I haven't in a while because of my back surgery and COVID, but when I did, I would go into comedy clubs where we'd go, cities where we'd go play, and nobody, not advertised, nobody knew I was coming. And normally when you walk in on a place like that and they let you go up, you get 7 minutes. So I have two skits, two improv skits that I do. One about my name, and it's not so improv anymore because I have it in my head. And one about Elvis, which is still improv because I don't do Elvis that much. Because, okay, I'm doing Rocky Horror Show, not the movie, the play in L.A., right? And, oh, it's a great story. Okay, I'll start at the beginning with this. Oh, let me finish the meat. So I got meat 4 days old, move forward to the 8th grade. Everybody knows me as meat. They don't, everybody doesn't call me that all the time, but it's meat periodically. But the whole football team calls me meat because they think it's good. Yeah, meat! And so they think I'm like, the bull. And I played nose guard. And I did then, 8th grade, 9th grade, and sophomore. And then when I was a junior, we got a new head coach who was a big jerk. Because I started a couple of games my sophomore year, and I started the whole season as a junior, even with this Robbie Campbell coach. But then, when I was a senior, anybody whose father didn't show up for practices was on the outs. Fathers must show up for practice. Get your father here. So he didn't start me anymore. I had scholarships offers when I was sophomore in high school. I had two junior colleges, Ranger Junior College, and I forget the next one. Ranger Junior College offered me a scholarship. And it would have been 4 years. I would have played 4 years of junior college ball. And I would have gone to high school in Ranger, Texas, graduated from Ranger, then played 2 more seasons but anyway, that coach said, you play 4 years here, you can write your ticket to any university in the country. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to go play at another level. I was only what? So, let's see. When they approached me, I was 14. I turned 14 and when I became a sophomore. So I was 15 junior, turned 16, didn't turn 17 until my first year in college. So I've been 14 years old playing against 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Get down with my bad self. But in real life, I wasn't that mean, but on a football field, come on! That was just an acting gig. But I got in his head. After a while, when I started doing acting, I figured out, now I know if I was a good football player. I was acting. I took on the role of a football player. Wasn't that athletic ability was that great, because I was as slow as a dead horse, bless him, going forward. But going laterally, on the high school team, I was the 4th fastest going laterally, because we did lateral. We did 50-yard dashes across the field. Nah, I only beat like 3 people. 3 people were behind me. Laterally, I was number 4. Sometimes 3 if the guy tripped and fell. So anyway, I was number 4, and going backwards, I was still in the top 10. It depended on how well I was doing backwards that day. 6, 7, 9, 10, no matter what, I never was. And we had 40-something kids out there. So, like, say 37 going forward, number 4 going laterally every time, and in between 6 and 10 backwards. It depended, I don't know, on me or somebody else. Maybe somebody else was hurt and I did the same thing. I don't really know. But that's the football thing. But I figured out after I got into acting that all these guys with great athletic ability just had to be themselves. I didn't have that. So I figured this out. In my head, I became a football player. I had a character. I don't know what his name was. No. And that's how I played football. I was a method football player. What can I tell you? So anyway, now, well, that's sort of a music story. So anyway, back to Rocky Horror. I got off on a tangent there. I'm going to tell you about Elvis. So doing the play Rocky Horror, it was a Saturday night. We had done the first show. It started at 6 and ended around 8:30. We had from 8:30 to 10:30. We had to be back at 10. We didn't get out till 9, so we had an hour to eat. So we just walked across the parking lot, which was about maybe 15 feet. No, probably more. So 2 cars could sit in there. So what's that? Okay, let's go 20 feet. So plus a little booth and the guys. So 2 cars side by side, a parking booth, and the place, the entrance was jetted out a little bit. So we went over to a place called the Rainbow Room. We were at the Roxy on Sunset Boulevard. And we went to the Rainbow Room. And we all would eat dinner. Now, when you went in there, there would be people that had just seen the show. So they gave the actors a room in the back to go eat. So we all went back there and ate. But as you were going in, there's so many people in the parking lot, at 8:30, they'd be showing up to have something to eat or drink before they went in, and people that just left going in. So you walked in with your head down, but I had wigs. So I had an Elvis-looking wig, and I had a gray Dr. Scott wig on, so nobody, if they really looked at me for a second, they'd figure it out, but I walked in with my head down, and nobody really knew Meatloaf at that point. They knew if they they knew Meatloaf was in a play. Hey, look at this guy's funny name. And so I'm walking in, head down, and I passed the guy walking out, and he was wearing a holster with a gun, not a little gun, like an old Colt 45 looking thing. It did have a pearl handle, and it was silver. And I went, is he supposed to have that? Can he wear that here? Well, he could, because Nixon, remember? Nixon gave him a permit for life that he could carry a gun anywhere in the world. On an airplane, in a restaurant, in a parking lot, no matter where he went, Elvis could wear a gun. He could conceal it, or he could wear it outward. So Elvis, being Elvis, he wore it outside. So I saw it, and I walked in the door of the restaurant, and I said, "Hang on, guys." And I turned around and looked, and I went, "Oh my God, that's Elvis Presley." Elvis is and was my idol. And today I woke up and I'm watching the news, and I'm going to call them assholes. I haven't said that about them until now. These assholes spray painted the front walls of Graceland with BLM and something about, glad Elvis is dead, but they took that off real quick. All this stuff. Because Elvis was law and order all the way. They spray painted, I'm sorry, that's sacred ground to me, and there's no reason for that. None whatsoever. And I'm glad I wasn't there when they were trying to do it. Because they don't want to tangle with me. Trust me, Bobby, they do not want to tangle with me. So later, one of the skits is I meet Elvis. Well, Elvis didn't come backstage. One of his guys came backstage and made the request that he would like to meet Tim Curry and Meatloaf. Oh, and didn't say me, Tim Curry and this guy named Meatloaf. This guy named Meatloaf. I love that. That was the request. I want to meet this guy named Meatloaf. Gosh, I do an Elvis, but I can't do him right now. Let's see. Let me get down. Say, hey, baby. Yeah, I want to meet this guy named Meatloaf. That was, hey, baby. That's Elvis, but I can't say Meatloaf right now. Anyway, so those are that. So I do stand up. So let me tell you that. So I finished that one. I stepped on Coach's foot. They called me Loaf. I didn't finish it. Next day, so I stepped on that Coach's foot. He screamed, get off my foot, you hunk of meatloaf. Everybody thought it was funny. Next day, I came in the locker room. We all had names on our lockers. They pulled that name down and put up the name Meatloaf. 2 words, Meatloaf. I'm going to say it out loud. A 72-year-old singer, soon to be 73. And what's the date today? September the 1st or 2nd? I don't remember whether it's the 1st or 2nd. All I know is that I've only got a few days left to be 72, because in September, I'm just going to fix my hair if you don't mind. On September, I still have vanity, and I use face cream and all this, and I got this terrible thing on my face that I got to go to a dermatologist about. I can't get, it's just horrifying. These are the things that happen. I had a Synvis injection in my knee. You want musician stories? I'm giving you one. In Synvis injection, I've had 4 back surgeries. I'm going to PT today. I had an argument, fight with those guys because I booked an hour, and then all of a sudden they won't be back to half hour, and then and so now I'm back to an hour, and that's good. So that means my PT guy still loves me. I didn't know. I got Sammy Hagar to sing with me on a record and play guitar. I got Jack Black to sing with me, and I made the mistake the other day. I played the song on, and I went, oh man, why didn't I get Jack Black to sing the second verse? I don't know if it's a producer or what, but Jack should have sang the second verse, and we should have split the bridge. It was so selfish. I'm gonna reach out to him and tell him how selfish I was and apologize. So I'll give you a really good story. Angus Young from the 80s, AC/DC, I guess it's his cousins. They also have the last name of Young. I got a song that was written by a Young and somebody else. Now, we recorded the track, and it was a semi-duet. Patty Russo sings some lines, but Patty and I thought the lyrics sucked. So Patty and I sit down and rewrote the lyrics. But when the album came out, we didn't take credit. We didn't take any publishing. We didn't take any writers. We didn't do anything. Their names were on the song. And they got all the money. We did nothing. But they sued us. Now, the case was thrown out because there was nothing to sue us for, except we wrote them a written apology. We're sorry we changed your lyrics. Basically, that's all it was. Oh, we're sorry you were offended by that, blah, blah, blah. The lyrics sucked. And I can't remember the song now. I can look it up. It's on, we had a big hit. We had 2 top 10 singles in the UK and Germany with, it's driving me crazy. I wish I could put it on pause to look up this stuff, but I can't. Hang on. If I can't remember, it makes me crazy. So I'm just going to go here. Oh, turn it around. Also, I'm not very good at mechanics and opening doors. So I got to type my password. Yeah, it starts with a P. So if anybody really wants to know, they can find out. And I got to get a new computer because every time I close this computer and I open it back up, the internet's gone. So I have to restart the internet every friggin' time. Here. I was going to go somewhere else, but and just go to Amazon. They know everything, don't they? All right, there's Better to Hell. Welcome to the Neighborhood. Great, going on that. That's where the songs were. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I know. It was a song called Running for the Red Light. And we didn't like the lyrics. And the single, I'd Lie for You and That's the Truth, a duet. And it got number 9 in the U.S., but it was number 1 in the U.K. and Germany, and it charted around the world. And the other song that was, it didn't do anything here, it was released here, I don't know, probably made the top 100, but if it's not in the top 15, I don't know it. And so I guess that's really ego, isn't it? No, it's just, what is it? It doesn't do anything. It does if you've never had one in the top 10 and the top 100. You had a song in the top 100, you're freaking out. The first single ever released in 1970 got to 85. I'm over the moon about that. But after that, but then they won't, it's political. Better to Hell should have been the number 1 album in this country for at least 5 weeks. But it was CBS employees that went and told how many records you had sold. And this clown would go in and ask, what is the number 10 record sold? And he would say, and I know this for a fact, he would say, oh man, Meatloaf just missed the top 10 again. He only sold this much. Meanwhile, he was underreporting 650,000. Because 2 weeks or 3 weeks in a row, we said 750,000. And then after that, we were into 500,000. So if we weren't number 1, we were top 5. This guy, we were number 11 for 11 weeks because of this clown. Now they can't do that. But nobody sells records anymore. They don't sell. But back when SoundScan came into play, nobody could take away the fact that Bad Out of Hell 2 was number 1. So I should have had Bad Out of Hell as number 1, Bad Out of Hell 2 as number 1, but didn't go down that way. And then Dead Ringer came out, and the day it came out on CBS was called Black Friday. They fired 400 employees the day my record came out. So nobody did anything except sit there and worry where they're going to keep their job. And that's all that happened. And then the other thing that happened was I was told don't make a duet with Cher because radio won't play it. And I said, I don't care. Cher's the right person for the song. And she is, and she was, and I'll stand by that now. Even though radio in America didn't want to play it, we were top 5, number 1. We got played in Canada. I don't remember the single position, but it was very good. And it was a hit. But it wasn't a hit in America. So all these people go, well, Meatloaf had nothing viable in the 80s at all. No, that's not true. And that's how they judge. That's how they judge me. That's how everything's judged. Now, if it wasn't viable in the 80s, you don't count. So no matter what happened in the 90s with Bat 2 and Anything for Love becoming number 1 in 32 or 34 countries, and the fact it sold 22 million, the fact that Bad Out of Hell sold close to 50 million, none of that's relevant. Just the fact that I didn't do anything in the 80s, but I did. And if you check the English history, Bad Attitude, I had to do it with Roger Daltrey, the album Midnight to Lost and Found, even though I guess we had a single that was number 17 in the UK, it was horrible. We did remix it, but I wrote it. It was horrible, okay? So those are the things. I'd Lie for You and That's the Truth, and Not a Dry in a House. And they were written by a great songwriter, you can look her up, named Diane Warren. And so I'm going to give you these little stories. I went to see Queen. I'm very good friends with Brian May. We exchange emails once a month, probably. And so I went to see Queen. And then Freddie, Brian, and drummer. Oh, come on. I can't remember his name right now. I do most times. Sorry, I take this medication. It's giving me dry mouth. So, Roger. His name's Roger. So anyway, I went to see Queen. Then they came to see me. Freddie came, I tried to get Freddie up on stage. He wouldn't. But Roger, the drummer, came up and played. And Brian May played. And they did We Will Rock You. But I would not dare sing the verses with Freddie sitting out there. Even though I could. I wasn't going to. So Patty took the first stanza. I took the second one. And after the show, we played that. And then I got him to do like Johnny Be Good. And then we played something else. And he wanted to play Bat Out of Hell. He said, I practiced Bat Out of Hell. So we'd already done Bat. And he goes, well, I want to play Bat. I played. So we did. And he did. And it was remarkable. I have a tape somewhere and I'll find it. And so they came backstage. And I said, Freddie, it's sad you didn't come up. He goes, no, I can't do that. And he said, okay. And he goes, but you do something different on stage. And I go, well, yeah. I mean, I do things completely different than most people because everything is a character. Each character has a trigger to get to him. Bat Out of Hell is my live with my fingers. And people go, why is that? He's a moron. Before Bat Out of Hell, he licks his fingers and taps his chest. What the hell does he think he's doing? By the way, who know nothing about anything, I'm changing characters, so get over it. And so then Freddie said, you do something very different up there. I said, yes, I do. And he goes, well, I want you to come to Madison Square Garden and watch 4 shows. And I said, I don't know, I'll come to one. He goes, no, you come to 4. I can get you tickets for 4. So I went to the 4 shows. After the first show, I went back. Now, I didn't know Brian that well at that point. I know him better now because he's played on 3 different records for me and hung out. We've hung out. And so where was I going? Oh, yeah. So we went to the 4 shows. I went backstage at the end of the first show. And I said, so Brian, where's Freddie's room? And Brian goes, you don't want to go over there. And I said, yeah, come on. You know, how bad could it be? I've seen everything. Well, I hadn't. God bless him. Rest his soul. He was a character, and he was amazing. I mean, truly amazing singer. And I walked back to his dressing room. I opened the door, and there was 2 guys in Speedos standing on the Madison Square. He's in the locker room, dancing on the benches, like where the players would sit. Or they're dancing on the benches to some disco music. And I just went, okay, never mind. And so I didn't go back to the next 3 shows, but I watched, I took notes, I did this whole thing. And I know, so I won't go into, I remember most of them, but I won't tell you because it's not really important. On the last show, I said, and Brian goes, I think you can go back there now. So I went back. Now, everything was calm. Freddie was there. We talked. He said, well, do you have notes? I said, yeah, Freddie, but you don't want to go through them now. It's late. And he goes, okay. So when you come along, I said, I'll be there probably in a month to 5 weeks. He said, great. We'll go to dinner, and then we'll sit down after and have a chat. So I said, cool. So we went to dinner. We talked a little bit. Went back to his flat and house, and we, I don't remember what it was now. That's all blank. It's just I'm riding with Freddie Mercury was the most important thing. And I'm looking at him going, yeah, that's Freddie. And so we go back, and I give him my notes, and I tell him, and he goes, well, you think so? I said, yes. I said, these will help you. And the one, I can remember one, was every time, watch a video, and he stomps his foot like a horse all the time. Now, go to the last video he made before I gave him notes. That would have been a Wembley Stadium, and then go back to another, and you see the difference. It's as plain as night and day. And I didn't tell him how to sing. I didn't tell him how to emote. I didn't tell him how to, get into the lyrics and study the lyrics and blah, blah, blah. I didn't go into all that. I just talked about body movement and stage movement and talking about how to throw focus. If you go on stage and the guitar player's got a solo, go to a concert, and then let's remember this, that nobody looks to where the guitar player's taking the solo till after he starts the solo. Maybe a few, but the majority don't go over there. The great thing is to make sure the audience, at least 75% of them, are looking at the guitar player before he starts the solo, so they see him start it. That way, so if you got a band, just all you have to do is just, even though you might be singing, just turn and look at the guitar player and sing to him, and everybody will go there. That's called throwing focus. And it also creates this atmosphere of, what did I miss? And so a lot of people have said, Meatloaf shows are like three-ring circuses. You don't know what you've missed. And that's true. It's an illusion to think that there's more going on than there really is. But it's a matter of stage presence and throwing focus. And it's as simple as singing and turning instead of going forward, because you're getting near the end of a phrase anyway, so the focus doesn't necessarily have to be on you. Let it be on the guitar player. And if you're not singing and you feel that people are watching you, just remember to stop, stand still, and whatever is going on, look that way. Don't move. But you don't stand for very long, because then that draws more focus. Oh, it goes on and on and on. But stop for a second, look at what's going on. They'll move off of you, and then you can move around and do what you do. And whenever you finish singing, you don't turn around. Don't turn your back to the audience. Back up 2 or 3 steps and then flip around. Those are all little stage things that keep the interest in you, keep the focus going on the stage, keep the focus off you and throwing over to other people. Those are all things that help a singer be a better singer. On the first record, Bad Out of Hell, we were going to put a band name, Jim Steinman and I, and because we had a deal on writing, because he wrote 92% of it. Yeah, he wrote most of it. He wrote all the melodies, and he wrote the music. So I just threw in lyrics every now and then, and lyrics and arrangements. That was my deal. Few licks. The first 2 lines of 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Line in Paradise Somewhere. A line in Bat. So not much, but arrangements. I was responsible for that arrangement in Bat, because he came in and he had Bat to the end of the first chorus. And I went, this is really great. Where's the rest of the story? So he wrote that, and then never see the sudden girl till it's way too late. When I'm down at the bottom of a pit in the blazing sun, torn and twisted at the foot of a burning bag. And I think somebody somewhere must be tolling a bell. Last thing I see is my heart still beating, beating. And then breaking out of my body and flow. Okay. Then I think somebody, so I took it up. I think that's it. So I repeated that phrase and took it up the octave and totally changed the track on All Revved Up. Todd Rundgren and I, Jim Steinman didn't come in the studio because he was sick, and he was really angry about that one. When I'm on tour, I don't drink coffee. So when we were working on the record from 1975 until October of 78, I didn't have coffee. When we finished that tour, the next morning I was at a coffee shop for 19 hours drinking coffee. No, not really. But by New Year's, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was freaking out. I was having a nervous breakdown. I called Billy Joel on New Year's Day. He invited me down. We watched football together. Really great guy. We've done softball together. We've done other little things together. That's the only time I ever hung out with him for a period of time. But we did do softball, charity softball. We did charity events, walking events. We did different things. But a really great guy. And, I spent the night with him. We watched all the football. I spent the night. The next day, I said, I'm going back. He said, you sure you're okay? I should have stayed, but nah, I didn't want to wear my welcome out. And by February, I had a nervous breakdown. And by March, I was seeing a psychologist 5 days a week. And it was all about being a star. I couldn't deal with that. And so I've learned to deal with it, but I still won't allow anyone to call me a star, a legend, or an icon. And back when Better Than Hell was breaking, like June, July, August, man, it was, well, before Saturday Night Live, my friend John Belushi and Gilda Radner lobbied a whole year and finally got me on. John was a good friend since 1973. We drove to the Saturday Night Live auditions together. We went together. And he goes, you doing a monologue? I said, no, they're having a thing where a singer sings one song a week, and I can't compete with guys like you and doing monologues and stuff, although I did National Lampoon Show, and we had a bet that I would get bigger laughs in 2 skits, not in all of them, but in 2. John walks in. We did it. I was doing a college out in Long Island, and I understudied him on Broadway. I did a few shows for a week. When he went to do something, I don't remember what it was. I got something in my eye. And so this is probably 6 months later. He remembered the bet. John had a memory like unbelievable, like a trap. And my door, we finished the show. My back's turned to the door. I have my door open. I look in the mirror. I see John walking in. I go, hi, John. Didn't say a word. Not a single word. This is John. Puts a $20 bill down on my dressing table, turns around, grabs the door, and closes it, backing up. That's John. And because there was 2 skits in National Lampoon, I said, I'm going to get more laughs. I'm going to get more laughs than you do, because you're not doing it right. And that's one of the few things I could say to John that he didn't do right, other than the day he died. And his wife called me up and goes, Meet, you got to get on the phone. You got to get on the phone and tell him that you and John are so afraid of needles, because that's something John and I had in common, the fear of needles. And that's how he died. He let somebody give him a hot shot and mixed with whatever else he was taking. That's it. And when she called me, I had no idea what was going on. And I'm going, Judy, hang on, Judy, hang on. She just hung up. That's all she said. And she didn't say, how are you? She didn't say, Nate, you got to get on, tell the newspaper, get out there and tell the public about you and John. You know he didn't like needles. You don't like needles. Get on. And that was it. Okay, so let's do this real quick. Okay? You're a really big fan. This is, I'm going to... Ready? This original... I remember every little thing as if it had known me yesterday. Parking by the lake and there was not another car in sight. And I never had a girl looking any better than you did. And all the kids at school, they were wishing they were me that night. There you go. A little Paradise in the original key. And that just, so all those people that tell you, he can't sing anymore. You can tell them to go stuff it now. You heard me. And that's the original key. We do it down a half step just because we do so many shows. And you sing those songs in the original key. Better to Hell is the only second piece of music that we can find, and the other one was written by a German composer. German as an opera, it's one of the aria. I can't say the word. You know what I'm talking about. In the opera, and it ended with 3 high C's near the end. So it was dramatic. Ended with 3 high C's, and so Better to Hell ends in 3 high C's, and it's only the second piece of music that we can find that ends in three high C's. Last two words, keep rocking.